We're continuing our discussion on accelerating the redemption, again from the Reshis Chochma, beginning of wisdom, gates of love by Rabbi Eliyahu Devidas, and the introduction from Rabbi Moshe Schatz, Mikubal in Israel. So he says like that: science as a vessel for Kabbalah. The Zohar links the gates of wisdom on high, that is, the inner wisdom of the Torah, with the well springs of wisdom below. Because everything in parallel, everything that happens above happens below. If there's an illumination of Kabbalah, meaning of powerful thoughts that Hashem wants to reveal on below, he activates it on high, and below it reflects as the wisdom of below, which is science, or Kabbalah on the spiritual level. The connecting link is that the wisdom below science becomes the vessel that enables the recipient to contain the light that is the wisdom on high, or Kabbalah. So it's like body and soul. The body is with the science and the soul is the Kabbalah. So the Zohar is thus alluding to a process that is progressively being introduced into the world. And it is clear that even though the Moshiach is not, well, he says not here yet. Moshiach is here yet, meaning it's not revealed yet. The vessels for us to contain the Messianic light are approaching with increasing speed. Hence, this book was written already a while ago. Hence, Isaiah's prophecy, which is, I, God, will accelerate it in its time. In other words, as we get closer to the time, I will accelerate matters, meaning the physical world. We'll make it more ready to receive the light. It is no wonder then that even children will eventually understand that the inner wisdom of the Torah. This will not be an act of magic, for children will be so familiar with the new intellect as products of the teachings of science that they will be able to understand even more quickly than adults. This is already happening in the world. We see children can use technology and information and their phones and smartphones and tablets, like computers, better than adults. Let us now address the questions we asked earlier. When can you give something over? When you know that the person, meaning when can you teach Kabbalah, like deep stuff, to someone else? When you know that the person has the appropriate vessel to understand it. If he is familiar with that, what the secular wisdom has to teach, he will thereby have the vessel enabling him to understand. One who is unfamiliar with current knowledge will not have the vessels to grasp. Hence, when you know that your audience lacks vessels or necessary background to understand, you are forbidden to impart what you know. So you're not allowed to teach it. The early sages understood the inner wisdom of the Torah as an illumination of Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration. But they could not speak about it clearly because the prerequisites had not yet been established. In other words, there were no vessels which could enable the mind to grasp. In contrast, in our times, the vessels of understanding are here and are continually being discussed so that everyone can understand. This disparity between the intuitive knowledge of a topic and its verbal expression may also be found in the Talmudic story in which God is showing Moshe the image of Rabbi Akiva studying with his disciples. Moshe was puzzled by what Rabbi Akiva and his disciples were discussing. Moshe's inability to understand was caused by his not grasping the use to which Rabbi Akiva put the new concepts or vessels that had evolved since his lifetime. Moshe had been given the same basic knowledge, but only at an intuitive level. That is, he lacked the ability to extract information from the Torah that Rabbi Akiva had developed as a result of the evolution of the new vessels and methods of teaching that were at his disposal, but were not available to Moshe. So we go in a lower level of of within the physical world. We'll bring the light more and more into the physical world. Therefore, it becomes more and more practical within the physical, within the science, within the biology, within the understanding of matter itself. And that's why it's he couldn't understand. It's like asking someone from before how to, like 500 years ago, to explain, why the earth is turning, or why meaning try to understand science, basically. Moshe didn't understand the science of Rabbi Akiva. So anyway, we're continuing. This next chapter is the process of the Moshiach Ben Yosef, which is what we're really in now. We're really in process of Moshiach Ben Yosef, which is what those parshas are about. When Yosef is hidden from his brothers and revealed, who is Yosef? Who is Yosef today? Who is Moshiach Ben Yosef? He's hidden from us, from the Jewish people, from the religious people. Maybe some people see him, but he doesn't appear who he is. He looks like an Egyptian. He looks like he's not Jewish almost. So, how we're gonna figure out? Okay, that's our job today, to figure out. We need to pay attention. Okay, so here he's going to explain the process of Moshiach Ben Yosef. Rabbi Chaim Vital's comments on the above Zohar here were that the last generation before the Moshiach, which is us, will be the one to open up the secrets of the Kabbalah. How will this happen? At this point, it is important to know that there are two types of Moshiach: the Moshiach Ben Yosef and the Moshiach Ben David. Okay, the Moshiach Ben Yosef works through natural ways. You want to know the difference? Moshiach Ben Yosef will work through natural ways. The Talmud Yerushalmi says, just like the dawn breaks through a ray of light which expands little by little, and as it continues becomes brighter and brighter, so the redemption of Israel in the beginning comes in little by little, and as it continues grows more and more. The fact that it is being done slowly comes through the human agency of Moshiach Ben Yosef, whereas what is seen coming directly from God is done instantly, and that's Moshiach Ben David. So things are going to be slow, then bam! I mean, that's how we make the greatest show. So, in contrast, the Moshiach Ben David succeeds the Moshiach Ben Yosef era. So the Davidic era is miraculous. Okay, Moshiach Ben David will come in through miraculous way, and as the prophets describe, it is beyond the awesome quality of the Moshiach Ben Yosef era. This, however, is dealing only with the Yosefic process, which leads into the Davidic era. Understanding Moshiach Ben Yosef, is perceiving how the redemption process occurs. Moshiach Ben Yosef, it's a process, it's not just a person, it's not just individuals. It's what's happening in creation. If the nation of Israel is ready to merit the Messianic era now, redemption can happen instantly and miraculously. The more we understand Moshiach Ben Yosef, more we understand the process, the more we connect to the process, the more we give the keys to Moshiach Ben David to be revealed. For Hashem to do that, obviously. However, if we do not merit this, then it continues in a step-by-step process through natural means. The sciences are needed to open up the Kabbalah, because the Moshiach Ben Yosef works through a natural mode. So we use the science, so to speak. Science is used, the natural means. The Messianic light, so it's like, in order to understand the Torah, so I learn, I try to break my mind. That's a Moshiach Ben Yosef style to learn. Moshiach Ben David style of learning is, I don't even use the commentaries. I take the book and I meditate and I pray and I ask God to help me understand what He's trying to tell me. So it's like two different ways of learning almost. The Messianic light connected with the Moshiach Ben one note, say the Vilna Gaon writes, the Moshiach Ben Yosef is a natural process prior to the Davidic era, which is miraculous. Well, we already said that, but the Moshiach Ben Yosef era is what the Talmud is referring to when it says there is no difference between the Messianic era and this world except subjugation. So that, which is the Rambam speaks about it also in Chos Melachim, that there's not going to be some miracles, because we know it's a machlokes. Here saying there's no machlokes, there's no argument whether the coming of Moshiach, or the area of Moshiach is going to be with miracles or is going to be natural. Everything is going to look the same. We're speaking about two different processes. Here it's saying there's two processes, we're going to have both. First, a moment that is going to look natural, and then it's going to be miraculous. The Messianic light connected to the Moshiach Ben Yosef comes down camouflaged and is exiled into the nations of the world in the form of secular wisdom, science, and technology. Keeping this in mind, we will understand what Rabbi Chaim Vital is suggesting in his introduction to the Etz Chaim. He continues as follows. The Zohar states, as the Messianic era approaches, even children will be able to understand the hidden wisdom. Rabbi Chaim explains, in the last generation, they would be able to understand inner secrets of the Torah that were inaccessible to previous generations. Incredible. But the question is, if the previous generations could not understand, then how can we? Because this wisdom will be openly revealed in the latter generations, particularly in the last generations, which is most probably us or our kids. But the question is when and how this will occur. To address this question, Rabbi Chaim Vital quotes two Zohars. The first one is the Tikkun Zohar, which tells us when this will happen, in a revelation of the prophet Eliyahu to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. How many people will sustain and nourish themselves from your book of Kabbalah, the Zohar, when it will be revealed? So when it will be revealed below in the last generation, in the end of days. That's when people will sustain and nourish themselves from the Zohar. The second one is the teaching of the Tikkun Zohar Chadash, which tells us how this will happen. You, Eliyahu, will precede prophecy in the generation before the arrival of the Messianic era. To some, you will reveal yourself face to face. To some, you will reveal yourself hidden through the eye of the intellect. And to some, you will reveal yourself through their wisdom. Three ways to experience Eliyahu Hanavi. The Zohar is saying that Kabbalah will be revealed through natural means, through the wisdom of science, for the interrelationship of science and Kabbalah is part of the Ruach HaKodesh. This is the process of revelation of the Messianic light, the Ruach HaKodesh, which is evolving and descending slowly, clothed in different forms and models of the times, thus making the Kabbalah more accessible. In contrast, in previous generations, this type of Ruach HaKodesh of divine inspiration had not yet really descended to the degree that is happening today, because we are talking about the actual revealing and unfolding of Kabbalah in the last generation through natural means. Since we do not merit the Moshiach now, maybe we do now, we'll see. The Messianic process is working through natural means and in a hidden manner. Actually, even now, because already will have been revealed already. In other words, part of the hidden natural manner is the revelation of science and Kabbalah integrated into one mode. Thus, we can understand that the Zohar and the Vilna Gaon we quoted at the beginning are really a prophecy which is only beginning to apply. We're just experiencing it now at the beginning. Understanding the redemption process, as we explained, brings to light the unifying role of Torah. Namely, just as God and the Torah, His system, are one, we should not view Kabbalah and science as two different entities, but rather as two systems of knowledge complementing each other. The reason is that even though it appears that everything stems from humanity, the ultimate source of everything is God. Everything every concept that exists in the world, all is only possible because God allows it to exist. So it's part of a system, of a one organism. In truth, when one understands Kabbalah properly, it is the key as a meta system to unify all wisdom. Nothing is outside the divine system. Therefore, perceiving everything in the universe as part of a unified whole is a manifestation and awareness of God's unity. So this is so important to understand that everything that's happening, what we learn in college and whatever we discover in science, biology and geology and archaeology, whatever, everything, all the sciences, music and psychology, all that, is all here for us to understand the universe, which all here to open our mind to the true unity of God, because what we're trying to discover is God's unity. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov in Nikutei Moharan, in his first volume, and he says that this first or second lesson, forgot, but it's towards the beginning. He says that you want to rectify the etzadas, no problem. You need to unify the chasadim and the gvuros. You need to unify just the din and the chesed, meaning what you see in the world, where you see the goodness coming into the world, and what you see is the darkness that we experience, what appear to be unfair, a justice that doesn't appear to be justice, the suffering, the pain, all that. When we are able to connect both love and judgment together, then this enables us to live a life of das, a life of unity, of fixing the tzadas. So that's really what's happening. Being able to see the good in the world and see that the bad is part of reconstructing and fixing and elevating and purifying the good, and that even that darkness is necessary. As unbelievable as it sounds, as much as we hate it and we don't even want it to happen, but we're suffering because our Jewish people are suffering and the world is suffering with all the pain and torture in the world, we still have to understand that that is part of our process to see the unity of the world. And we have to recognize, even without the pain, we have to say, this is from God, and I know there's something good about it. And that's the hardest thing. But like I mentioned at some point in the Zohar, or maybe it was not in the, I mean, it is from the Zohar, that the Tanya, that the only true service of God happens through darkness. See, I'm trying to see if I have the quote here. No, the quote is not here. I remember it was the one in the book. But basically, just to reiterate, because it's such a powerful quote, we have to understand that nothing, literally nothing becomes pure light. Nothing's ever, if it doesn't come through darkness. The perfect service of God is the transformation of darkness into light. But there has to be darkness before for it to be able to be transformed into light. So when we understand that all the darkness is necessary, and that we will get to a point where it's almost as if to say that the Moshiach Ben Yosef is, the process through which we can recognize that the darkness really is light. And when we can express and understand that the process of darkness is light, then I'm able to receive the light directly. So that's a little bit of the process. So this is what we want to get into. Next time we're going to speak about the goal, the total unification, and that will be our last part of our acceleration of the redemption. But we will speak about, I mean, that's in terms of that, but I will continue on the gate of love, because there are secrets there, beautiful. The goal, you want to know the secret of redemption, you want to know what it's all about, you have to fall in love with God. That's the secret. You understand that everything, when you love someone so much, and then you realize that really the only reason that everything is happening is to experience true love. It's very hard to understand. Like, we have marriages now, obviously there's exceptions. Sometimes it's not workable because people still have free choice, and they, but what are all the problems of my life for? They're for me to overcome them, to fall in love with myself, to see and to transform myself into a being that can see that everything has a very specific purpose. When you understand everything has a very, very specific purpose, you have meaning and you have love, and you're able to love others and life. But I have to be at the position, at the point where I understand that there's only two things in the world, me and God. And I'm supposed to try to experience everything that God does that is for the good. But that means I have to learn to protect myself and learn to fight the evil and to do whatever it takes. And on the process, we can get hurt a lot. But there's a way to transform that hurt, that pain into light. But it's very hard. There is a lot of work, a lot of bitachon, a lot of healing, a lot of learning. One need to be learning constantly, a lot of bitachon. So God willing, that's the work we try to do. And if we fall in love with God, with the gaze of love, then we can learn to really achieve a level of going through Moshiach Ben Yosef to Moshiach Ben David, and just receive the pure love from Hashem directly. May it be in our lifetime. Amen.